Hello, hello.
On a roll, everybody.
Let's see if can everyone see us? I think we're live. All right. Well, hey everyone, welcome. My name is Taps, and today I am excited and have the pleasure of having someone who is well known in the Ecomi fam world as well as the YouTube world on the channel. Help me in welcoming the Omi Whale, Veve content creator, and father of the great and all-powerful Dashi, the real Randy Chavez. Thanks for coming on, man.
Hey guys, how's it going? How do y'all? You had sent me something about the what we would do as far as questions.
Yes.
I know it's in an email. I completely forgot where it was, so I'll find that right now. But yes, this is the first thing I've ever actually prepared for. So yeah,
No,
most of
I've got the questions laid out on a thing here too. So I
okay,
put
good.
my questions and your questions, but we'll keep it conversational and try to get through as many as possible. But I know you're the Pokemon card master too, so I wore my Pokemon shirt just for you.
Thank you. Love it.
Awesome. Well, dude, we were just saying before we hopped in here that this is our first real conversation together. Like I've watched you stream and I've watched your videos and you've watched my videos and we talk through Twitter and all the other social media, but this is our actual first real conversation. And I got to say, it's, a real honor. I actually really love your streams and I love the way that you present information. And, I can't wait till eventually when there's like a real live, con that we can go dress up and be big weirdos together.
I can't wait for that. I guess because a lot of times like I'm at the gym, so I'll like play your stuff on the ride home, or I'll post it on and I'll listen to it, and just your beard is so well groomed. It's and mine is so like just whatever grows grows. I feel, and part of the reason why I'm really excited about this because I feel like you're like you're like the good, super good version of like whatever street. I feel like I'd be like the discount version where I'm all like messy, like I'm like the Target or like the
No.
Walmart version. uh, like I'm like the black, I'm like the blue collar one. You're like the white. And you ever see that episode of The Office where it's like used to be blue collar, I see white. Somebody sees white collar, but I'm collar blind. It was just a
I
dad joke
love
from The
The
Office.
Office, but I can't remember. Did Michael say it? Because that's
Yeah,
hilarious.
of course he said.
Colorblind. Love it. Yeah, man. I mean, I think this is great. And so let's just get right into it. Tell me, tell the fam, what's your story? Like, how did you get into investing and kind of walk us through how it went into eventually Pokemon cards? And I know that you're in the military originally in Earth 2 and Omi.
Yeah, sure. I guess like getting into like a psychological level, my parents were always poor. They had a bunch of credit card debt, and they had just a bunch of. They just were not good with money. They would always, if I could use that guy from Wolf of Wall Street, like they're always playing defense. They were never playing offense. Like they never had any investments. They didn't know anything about money. So I from like a young age, like this is never happening to me. Like I'm never going to let this happen. And then of course I let it happen. I moved out at like 19. I worked in like 3 jobs for like this a worse apartment than I'm in now. And a so eventually I really got into it in May of 2017. I just got out of the military and I went to school for like 6 months
What
to be
branch
an
were you in?
X-ray technician, Air Force.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
yeah, it was pretty fun. And if anyone that's like young that's thinking about going in, Air Force is country club. Like it is a lot better than Army Marines. The food's better. We have better facilities.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh yeah, thanks. I appreciate the support. Um, so then I go and I get a job at this bank. I was just looking for part-time work. It's a private bank that I didn't know what I was going to do. My friend Dean had a connection there. I was like, yeah, I'll get you, and you're good with people. You can just talk. Okay. And he says, yeah, what we do here is we lend money out to business owners, and we work with a bunch of other banks, and we get basically commissions on it. I was like, okay, cool. And then like a week into it, I see that they have their own private bank in there that they go and they fund a lot of deals too, and they don't get like like 1 or 2% commission. They get like it's high risk lending, so it goes up to like 20 to like 24% interest, like high risk credit cards. So like, oh, we could be making lots of money. And then I was like, I'm not going back to school. So I just I did that. I got really lucky. I only had a couple grand in my name. I just kept rolling it over and rolling it over, and then Eventually, I got into Tesla, Pokemon cards, and people would. I guess this goes into like why I got all in, why I went like all in, meaning that I have almost no other assets left,
Mhm.
including Pokemon cards. Just because if I see something on the table, I have a big issue with leaving money on the table. And if I see something that will most likely make me money, like, okay, well, I'd be a fool not to go in. So, yeah. So,
So you said a couple of things there that really resonate with me. A lot of similarities to myself. Like you said, you didn't really have an understanding of investing growing up or even like, financials. And I come from the exact same walk of life where, my mom was one of 10 kids. My dad was one of six.
wow.
And so they were extremely, extremely poor. Growing up, I was always in like apartments or mobile homes. And I think my mom didn't graduate high school. My dad did, but like either one never really taught me about money because they didn't have any, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of, had to figure it out on my own and like kind of surrounding myself with people who were more successful with me, asking questions. And I didn't start investing until I think February of 2018, which is not that long ago. So like, you said 2017, 2018, and it's crazy to see if you really research and if you really dive in just how successful you can become in such a short amount of time. I mean, like, 3 to 4 years, and I have more money than I ever thought I would ever have, and have property, which that was always like the goal, right? Like I always said, if I could afford a house and not live in a mobile home and apartment like I had growing up, I made it, right? But then you get more hungry and that ceiling raises. So, I love that you come from the same, walk of life, and it's kind of interesting. Like you're all in, and like you have a real problem with leaving money on the table. And I know you've asked me like, why aren't you all in? Like, why do you have other crypto and why do you have other stock? And it's because of that past. Like, I need to diversify. I'm not much of a risk taker financially because I always look at if I have money elsewhere and other things, like I'm not afraid of Omi going to zero ever. Like that's not possible in my mind.
Yeah.
But if I have that money on the side, then when the price, eventually does go down during a bear market, or if ever something I need, get into a hardship, I know I can pull it from stocks. Like, I saw everything was happening with Evergrande, so I pulled money out of my stocks and I put it on the side for dry powder. And so when everything eventually does tank in a couple months, year, whenever it is going to happen, I have all this excess money to then throw it in at the bottom. And that's what I did in March with stocks. I wish I did it with
Yeah.
crypto. But yeah, so that I, just really love hearing that you're from like kind of the same background as me, and really cool. And what's a random fact or talent the fam doesn't know about you?
I think I might have mentioned this on one live stream, but I think maybe it was like 50, 100 people watching, but so definitely not all the subscribers. I bowled a perfect game when I was 15. I remember the date because I was with this girl Elena, who I really fancied. So I bowled a 300 June 21st, 2006.
What?
Yeah,
You actually bowl, dude? I'm on a bowling league. I bowl every Wednesday night, and my highest game ever was a 243.
still good.
And I mean, I was stoked, but like a 300 is insane.
Yeah. Never bowled one again. I have like 50 279s. The 279s would be when you have, you know, two or any amount of strings of strikes in a row. You get 1 9 spare, and then you strike out. So it's only really one frame that you're missing, and it has to be a 9 spare. So that's the only. I have a bunch of those, but yeah, it's just getting that. I've had times where I would go like get like the last 8 strikes in one game, and then I would get like the first like 7 in another. So I would get like an addition, like 15, 16 in a row. But yeah, that 12 in a row, it's just hard to do. It's hard to time it. So
That's crazy. Well, I mean, we do have an opening on our team, so if you want to move out to the Bay Area, I'm just saying you could be on our bowling team.
are you? Is that where you're gonna stay for? I'd be just San Andreas, like the fault line. I just be earthquakes. There's fires all the time. Like I just be
That's
worried
so
about.
funny. Everyone's always like, "Oh, like earthquakes, like you can't see them coming, so they're scary." Like we
Exactly.
have earthquakes probably once a month, but they're so minute and little and spread out because our state is massive that
Yeah.
you just don't care or sense them, right? Like they've been talking about that big quake since 1989 and it just hasn't hit, right? But hurricanes, you have to like evacuate, and tornadoes, you can see them coming, but they still destroy so much. Like
Yeah.
that absolutely, is crazy to me. But yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I don't know if it's the forever spot. It's the for now spot because, I mean, I've been in tech for a long time and it's kind of the spot to make money. And then I'll never sell my California property, but we did go out to Idaho a couple months back to go look at property and looking at property in Texas. But right now, all my money's mostly in crypto and stocks, just because once that dries up, I'll probably take some and then actually get more property. But yeah, for now it's the spot.
Yeah, I understand Texas. Was in basic training there for a couple months. San Antonio's pretty nice, but the why Idaho?
So it's blowing up, and like the prices have shot up quite a bit. It's it's still West Coast, which I like the West Coast, but it's a little bit
Promotion.
closer in, so it's a good spot for like airports. Yeah, the price values have absolutely shot up. Like in Boise, in Meridian, which is
Okay,
just outside. Like my friend bought, I want to say like 6 months ago, and their house is already up 100 grand.
nice.
It's absolutely insane. So I know they're building a lot of tech out that way too. So it's a fraction of what the prices are, probably like more than half of the price
Yeah.
of what a home is in California, or at least the Bay Area. So it's definitely a good spot. And yeah, so I want to keep the questions going. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought, but
Okay.
I definitely want to address the FUD that's happening. But before we do that, when did you get into Ecomi and Veve, and what attracted you to the project? And, like I know you have a very strong conviction to go all in. So, what makes you so positive it's going to succeed? And again, when did you get in?
It was early. It was earlier this year. I think it might have been March. I was very like what I got like not blew up, but when I finally got partner, I got a lot of subscribers pretty quickly. It was because of Earth 2 that I was covering.
Mhm.
Just kind of the same premise, a virtual reality game that they want to create, and I was trying to figure out what crypto they were going to use because their CEO he leaves these cryptic messages on Twitter,
Uh-huh.
and the things were certain letters were capitalized that they should not have been uppercase, but they were. So like I'm rearranging the letters, like Go chain. Okay, so the crypto's going to be on the Go chain, and I'm looking for like these lots of mass amounts of mints and like not a lot of money. And I was like, Omi, okay, all right, this will work. And then I don't know anything about it. I do a live stream on it, and then this guy Earth 2 Mastery, who also
Hmm.
covered Earth 2 as well, he had done a bunch of videos on it. It's like, tell me about this. And I didn't like really understand half of what he said at the time. Then I saw Orion Crypto Trader's video on the tokenomics, and I was like, oh, these are nice. And I was like, all right, maybe this is something I should, because again, I thought it was something that was going to happen with Earth 2, but then I'm like, wait a minute, they're attached to NFTs, which I wasn't too familiar with. I knew of them from NBA Top Shot, but I had this once I saw Alfred Archon in there, I was like, oh, it's over. Like I'm all in. And I never sold Earth 2, but my plan at the time in like March was saying it was to when I retired is to take everything that my Pokemon cards and all my extra income is buy Bitcoin. I wasn't going to sell Tesla at that point. And I was like, okay, well, Tesla might, like 10x, by the end of the decade, but Bitcoin will probably 20x. So maybe eventually I probably would have sold Tesla anyway for it.
Hmm.
But then I saw this, I was like, oh God, this is that, figure a penny, this can get to, figure even if it gets $1 at the end of the decade, and this is when it was at a penny, I was like, this is 100x. So I was like, okay, I have to shift plans here. Um, and pretty much when I saw the team and I really read into the team, I saw a lot of interviews with David Yu, the Dan Carruthers, and that's the best for me. That's the part where I get to see if they are ever really like short or like tired or they sound like I want to see what their personality is like. And based on all the hard work that they've done, the experience that they have, like all right, that's what I decided to do, and that was around March. But I didn't have anything really liquid at that point. It was only like 5 grand here, 10 grand here, 20 grand there. It
Right.
wasn't until like July when I really started. I sold that big Pokemon card and I sold my Tesla stock
The
all in
Kangaskhan, was that what was?
yeah, the Trophy Kangaskhan. Yeah.
Man, that's really crazy. I mean, like I've asked a lot of people like their Veve or Omi origin story, like how they found Omi, and yours is probably the most unique I've ever heard because you basically reverse engineered, like, what do they call, like an anagram of what was posted in Earth 2, and then you just kind of stumbled on Omi. Like,
Yeah.
very unique. But yeah, and shout out to Earth 2 Mastery. I really wish he would come back and make content, because I would get so excited for every one of his videos, because every single video he would like start with a pun. Like, he would I loved it. Like, he'd be like, all right, like, get your lamps ready because I've got a bright idea. Like, he'd always do something like ridiculous dad jokey like that, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shout out to Orion too. He still makes absolutely awesome content. He's one of the best at describing, and like, I like that he draws it out, right? Like, he visually shows you, this is how the tokenomics work, like this is how the buybacks work, like things like that. And he's just an overall nice guy.
Yeah.
Very, very, very cool guy. And so I want to get to this point because I'm seeing it pop up in Twitter, and I feel like I have almost zero time to like to balance between like the community and creating content and then addressing FUD. But there is active FUD out there right now, right? With NFLPA being announced with their partnership on doing something with the marketplace on NFTs with Dapper Labs, and then also with the DC, with the DC. I'm not sure if you saw them, but they're doing with Palm, but they look like floppy disks with comic covers on them.
Yeah.
So I have my thoughts around it, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts around it? Is the FUD legit, or if not, then why?
I love any and all FUD because it lets me get Omi or the NFTs I want at a better price. I loved it with Tesla. I loved it with people saying like, oh, the Tesla's the competition is coming. Elon Musk is crazy. China's never going to let him build a gigafactory. Guess what? It all happened. Pokemon.
Yeah.
Oh, we're in a bubble. These Pokemon cards are too high. I was like, you guys don't understand the amount of like supply to demand ratio. Like, these are still undervalued. If I was shown the floppy disk NFTs that the DC was putting out a year ago, or even like 6 months ago, or 8 months ago, before I really knew what Veve was, I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like, that's a throwback. That's something that it mixes new technology with something that was old technology, and that's pretty cool. And outside of Veve, it is still pretty cool. But that being said, Dapper Labs, Palm, Terra Virtua, and Quid could all fusion Ha with each other, and their combined form would not be able to shine Ecomi's shoes. Like, there's still no serious competition in my opinion. Will one of them capture like a top 10 spot in this space? Maybe, maybe even two of them do, but I don't see any serious competition for Ecomi yet. I think the biggest one would be and then also they follow Dapper Labs, like they. So it's like,
I know, I saw that.
Yeah. Black Excellence posted like, yeah, they follow. I was like, yeah, they do. So I love FUD. I do not get annoyed. I mean, it is a little tiresome to answer the same question over and over again. So, hey, what do you think about this? So, I try to address it in videos and live streams. But Jay Kagon, shout out to my top guys. Real Zone, keep it real.
Yeah,
You guys are great.
A bunch of homies helping out here, and yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. And I'm sorry, were you finished with the thought, or?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. So my thought around it too is, I mean, I agree. Like, the FUD is, like, that's the hard part, right? Is like, we create content and we get all excited for it, and so we want to show it, but then also we're investors on the side. So it's like, man, I almost don't want to talk about this just because I want the prices to stay low so I can buy them. But at the same time, like,
Yeah.
no, I just have to present the content and let the chips fly where they go, right? But this FUD is built around it, and people are freaking out because DC, came out and said, "Oh, these are our first NFTs with Palm." And like, if you haven't seen Palm, it needs a lot of work. I think they will have a place because they have a lot of strong backing behind them. Kind of like how, like, not Animoca Brands, but Animoca has a big following behind them, right? Like, and they're behind Quid, obviously, and many other projects, but they're not. like they don't have the same appeal. They don't have the same usability and versatility that Omi does, right? Like yeah, there's that nostalgia kind of tied to them with the floppy disks and their comic book covers, but they're not virtual augmented reality comics that you can open and use and display and are going to go into a metaverse. Like
Yeah.
all of these things are complete differentiators that Veve doesn't really need to worry about that. And it's a tagline, right? Like if you, I looked at like 5 different things on the DC side, and there was only one, and it did come up from DC saying like this is their first NFT, and technically they're right, like it is, because ours have not yet been mintable. So they just beat us to the punch on that. But it doesn't really matter because again, these stand out so significantly to what are being produced on Palm. And then on the NFLPA side, I mean, we've already discussed it, right? Like we know NFLPA and Marvel and other brands can work and will work with other NFT projects. In fact, Marvel was already a partner with Quid. Like you
Yeah.
can get the
Yeah. The
stickers and
little
all that
like,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, and we know like Simone Laguna with like the Mermicorno, or I think Cryptozoic. Cryptozoic is also in Quid or TVK. It's one of the two. But so it's not an issue. Like again, the space is so nascent that people are freaking out about this stuff, and it's like, why? Like, you're just making the collectibles cheaper, which I mean, I'm not mad about.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
how many? I know that you have. You've been stacking Omi left and right. Like every stream I hopped in on yours, you'd be like, all right, well now I'm at 60,000 Omi. Now I'm at 80,000 Omi. So, and then I remember 2 months ago, you had like 8 collectibles or something like that. And I
Yeah.
now
It started
know
in
that you
July.
have way more than me. So how many collectibles and Omi are you up to now? And what's your favorite collectible?
236 collectibles, and I got 33 sets now on my. I got lucky the Labbit because he was. I just sold more Pokemon cards, and like I said, when I go all in, I have these guys that I just sold. Like their money's pretty much already gone. I have to go to the post office and send them out, but their money's pretty much already gone. I guess I'll say it here too. I just put in an order for another 500,000 Omi, so I will have a 107.5 million Omi at the end of today.
Dang. What's your average cost? Do you know?
I
Are you
think
tracking
it's
it?
like 0.0038 maybe. So I've made a good amount.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome. Congrats. You're one of the King-O millionaires, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. And I still do get humbled. Jeanette, oh my God, I love you.
I was gonna
Um,
say we'll answer your next question
yeah,
after
yeah,
this because I want to make sure I get to him. But yeah, I mean that's incredible. I mean, like I said, you have almost double the sets that I have in such a short amount of time. So yeah, when you go all in, you really do.
yeah. I go hard. Just because I feel very strongly that I think Warren Buffett said it best. Like we're like baseball hitters. Baseball hitters they low and inside might be their hot zone where they can hit like 500-600. Whereas like a strike that they still have to swing at, but they only have a batting average of like 134. High and away. We have an advantage over them because we could choose not to swing at things. We could choose not to invest, but where what's going to be good, where you're going to excel at, just go all in, triple down. So yeah, I do want to get. I want to try to get more. I have this one giant box left. Pokemon. I think it's worth like 35, but I can really only find a buyer for like 24, 25,000. So I'll try to get a little more Omi and then a couple more sets. Goal is to get every single one first season. Although Donnie, I'm probably gonna when I have time, it's probably gonna be like $200,000 at that point. It's gonna be stupid.
I was gonna ask if you're ever gonna go for the Donnie.
I will. Honestly, I might even wait until like I'm almost dead, and then I'll get them then, and then because then that money could be used in other places. So yeah. But
That's
yeah,
crazy. I mean, it's already shot to over $100,000, right? Like we were just talking about how like looking at the collectibles and comparing them to other NFTs, and when you look at the floor price on like a Bored Ape, they're around 130 grand, and so Donnie's right there. And again, it's not even mintable yet, right? Like
yeah,
that's how like I was like, oh wow, like these prices are absolutely flying, and like they are really comparable now, especially to these really top projects in the NFT world. What's your opinion? This is Yanette's question
Mhm.
on VV comic books, and she said she hasn't heard much about it. Like, what's your strategy? Are you buying and reselling right away? Should you be hodling for possible good revenue in the future?
I did get one secret rare. It was the Journey
I'm
into
jealous.
Mystery. Yeah, and because they said that sets of comic books won't count towards your sets and on your collectibles. I was like, well, this is nice and I love it, but because again, first appearance of Loki, and that'll be $10,000, but probably tens of thousands of dollars in the future. But I saw that the Harley Quinn, the Stephen Pugh Harley Quinn, was around $5,000. So I sold mine for like 2,900. I used some more funds. I got the Harley Quinn. So I am happy I did that because I got one now. It's like over 10 grand for a Harley Quinn. So I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I did that. Now though, if you don't really care about the comics and you have other sets that you want to complete, I wouldn't say that's a bad idea. I'd be like, all right, that's a strategy. But another strategy would be like, okay, well, can these go up higher than some of these collectibles that I want? And they probably can. And if you want to wait for that to moon, well, this only goes up a little bit. You make more money, you buy this, you net the difference. That's fine too. It's really, I think it's a kind of a coin flip.
Yeah, I kind of think similar too. I am very jealous that you've gotten a secret rare. I'm part of the mostly common gang,
Yeah,
and like I've gotten like a rare and a couple others, but never a secret rare. So very jealous. But I think pretty similar. But I think it comes down to like the fandom and like what really appeals to each collector, because the collectibles are the coolest thing about, like, that's what attracted to me to it. That's what even got me to invest in Omi. Once I kind of looked at the tokenomics, but I love the collectibles. I want to have all the sets, and I'm just kind of like I'll add them as I can. And I wish I just did it when all of them were down back in August. So the comics for me, like, I want to make sure that I have one of every single ones, which I do so far. So like no matter what, I'll always buy like a common if I miss out on a drop.
yeah,
But if I got a secret rare or an ultra rare or whatever, personally, I would flip it because I know that they're valuable. I know that they'll be worth more later, but so will the collectibles and the sets. I want all the sets.
yeah,
By now that Dan's talked or spoke the other day on Women X Vivi and said like Master Collector program will have a big impact into land in like that first, or kind of going into it and having access. I was like, oh man, I really should have just aped into all the collectibles, kind of like what you're doing, because I don't know how that's going to look, but at the same time, it sounds like they're going to reward those people who are actually collecting a lot of the collectibles. So, and we don't know if comics will have any take on it, but for me, it's kind of like, yeah, I personally am flipping them if I
yeah.
ever get like a secret rare, but that's just me. I know like the Comic Way, he has like every single secret rare. He's just collecting them and buying them no matter what. He showed it on Twitter, and I was like, that's a flex right there.
My God, yeah, my
But he's the comic guy, right? Like he's a
yeah.
comic fan, and like he knows if he holds them now, they're gonna be worth much more later, and he's cool just chilling with them. So, I mean, I guess that makes sense for him.
My
Um,
my friend Henry goes really hard with them too, and he gets the lowest mints. Like I'm sure he spent several $100,000 on getting all the lowest mints of the Fantastic Four. So he's got numbers 503, 538, 584. It's like for Fantastic Four. So he's got the first mints of all of them for Tales of Suspense, all of them for Avengers, all of them for What If, and most of them for the Marvel ones. Like, so he's not only does he have the secret rares, but he's got the first mints of the secret. So yeah, some people go super hard on it. He was on my channel like a week or two ago.
that's
Henry
crazy.
Pagliuca, really good guy.
Yeah,
But
I
as far as
mean,
collectibles, hmm?
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, as far as collectibles, my favorite one is going to be the Ice King because that was one of the first ones I got, and the Ice King one because in Earth 2, I have my mega city down in Earth 2 is in Antarctica, and a lot of people nickname me the Ice King because there's a bunch of ice down there. But also because it is he's one of the first, I think the first cartoon character that I remember that they showed with dementia. And I was like, oh, that's like, because he couldn't remember everything. Marceline sings that song for him. So I thought like that was pretty interesting as well, like because he can't remember anything, and they didn't say dementia, but I feel like that's what they meant. Um,
The Ice King. I know. I thought that was too funny. I had to put it up there.
That's great. So yeah, Ice King's probably my favorite one. Either that, or maybe the stay. Somebody gifted me a Stay Puft yesterday. This guy
That's
Slava.
awesome.
Yeah, because I said that because I mentioned if you see the movie trailer for Ghostbusters, the little tiny Stay Puft Marshmallow guys, they're burning each other and they're making like little s'more sandwiches with each other. I was like, oh, that's so cute. Like I want one. And then somebody just gifted it to me. I mentioned I didn't have one. I was like, whoa. He messaged me on Twitter. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna send it to you right now. Like, yeah, it was incredible. So maybe that one's
Nice. It's stories like this that Lori just, and shout out to Lori for being in here and always being supportive. But I had Spider-Man Secret Rare twice and sold under 2K twice. It's like things like that. I'm just like, oh my God, like no. But I did though. I only had one ultra rare ever, and I think it was Journey into Mystery or something. But like I sold it for, I want to say like $500, something like that, and like now it's well over $1,000 and something. But it happens, right? Like hindsight's always 2020. What I know that you're very bullish on Omi. I know that you're very bullish on the collectibles. Are you now completely? I know you're selling off a lot more Pokemon cards. Are you only invested in Omi, or do you still hold any or more Bitcoin or any other crypto or any other NFTs?
I do have a couple of NFTs that were gifted to me from Earth 2. They're really cool because they bear the Earth 2 logo. So Earth 2 didn't make them, but they gave their permission, and so those are really cool. But they're worth like, I mean, like $20. There was mint number 69. Somebody bought it and sent it to me. I was like, oh, thanks guys, because I always reference the 69 because it's funny. Outside of those, Raythax, a big supporter of mine, had sent me one on MetaMask. But to be completely honest, I am not that technologically literate. MetaMask and wrapping Ethereum, that just confuses me. I have it. I would need help to get in again and do stuff. That's why I haven't collected any NFTs. That's why That's why I see these going so hard and so high because they're so easy to get. And I feel like people that get it, people that are like, oh no, you wrap your thing, you send it to Ethereum, you send it to your MetaMask, and they get it. I feel like they don't understand that certain people like me are just in general is really not that smart, at least technologically wise. That it's just somebody like I'll pay for convenience every single time, and these guys make it very convenient. And part of the reason I didn't mention before why I went all in, I had this theory that, and it's going to sound really bonkers, it's going to sound really bananas, and I have this theory that I saw a meme once where it said Thomas Jefferson, you knew he was like a pothead. You knew he was a stoner because how high do you have to be to think about electricity when there is no electricity? And I was like, whoa, that's so right. And I'm thinking about David Yu and Dan Crothers thinking about disrupting the collectibles in general, disrupting land with the VeVeverse. Like, I'm sure, and this is a positive, that they were definitely tripping on like Lucy when they're like, this is the greatest idea ever. And that just, again, a lot of the billionaires that are out there, a lot of them, they do microdose. You're in tech. So I'm sure you could say that a couple of your friends or people that you have worked with in the day have microdose to, at least
100%.
minimum.
Yeah, I know quite a bit. I know that you asked me this a while back. Shout out to Lori. Thank you so much. So she doesn't get paid till tomorrow, but sending love to us. So, shout out, Lori. We really appreciate you. I know you asked me this before about like, have I experimented or do I do anything like that? Like, I don't know, I guess any, what do you call them? Psychedelics?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like the correct term so I don't get flagged from YouTube.
What Mario eats.
I don't. But I have plenty of friends who do. Some of my best friends do, and I've looked into, possibly doing like a little bit, nothing like hard, just because I'm a pretty positive guy, but got a lot of demons in my past. So I'm always afraid, like, what if those demons come back up? And like, I don't think that's the right mentality to go into it.
Yeah.
I definitely like to have fun at some concerts with some other things, but in very, very small doses. And definitely not for some time from, a ways away, because, I just had the stroke, so I'm letting my brain completely heal.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I pretty much, I'm pretty straightforward guy. Like, I like to, for the most part, drink like a good bourbon or a good whiskey, is great by me. And usually like other, like, like anything smoking wise, it just puts me to sleep. So I'm more of a social person when I'm, drinking stuff. So I usually just stick with that.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, what does the future state of Ecomi and Veve look like to you in 2025? Like, we're in the future, you're obviously, you still have the same fridge, the same dashie, but now you're in a multi-level mansion because of your incredible investments in 2021. What does that look like? What's your price prediction for Omi and the collectibles?
So by 2025, I feel like this is asking like scientists try to predict the global warming rate in like the future. Like the margin of error gets so much bigger the longer the farther out you go, because you can't really predict it that well. But I would say that if they said that they're I forget if it was David or Dan that said these collectibles are going to be a small part of what their future plans are. It's mostly going to be the VeVeverse, that open metaverse. I think you mentioned on your last video that Mark Zuckerberg says Facebook is a metaverse company.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and nobody understands that yet. It's when like a bunch of people years ago, or even recently, say like, "Oh, Tesla is just a car company. The valuation's not right." No, they're not a car company. They're a tech company. They're like a dozen different companies rolled up into one. So I feel like people don't understand what that means yet. I don't know. Virtual reality and augmented reality have been tried before, and it is not. Pokemon Go is really, I think, the only one that stuck. Harry Potter, Wizards Unite, a couple of those things that are popular because they're big giant brands.
Right.
I would think that something like this would work because of the licenses that they have with Superman, Batman, Cartoon Network, and again, even kids, LOL, MGA, they'll have My Little Pony, they'll have whatever. I would probably think that that's what it's mostly going to be. They'll still have drops and people still collect them, but I do think at some point they're going to have, how in Pokemon you have Gen 1ers. Oh, first generation was the best. And eventually people will be like, they won't really care as much about buying every drop. They might still for the blind boxes to get a secret rare, because that's a flipping of a couple $1,000s. So why not try it? But I think that'll be broken off into sections. I've pondered the idea of saying maybe I might just, because I'm running out of money, I might just stop collecting after the first two series. Maybe I'll go a little bit to the third just to get my Master Collector program high, just so I could buy land in the VeVeverse next year. But outside of that, I don't think I could. I would want to try to collect a lot more, because it's going to be very hard in general to get sets from the first series completed, the first season.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, Omi at that time, depending on what it is at the end of this year, I think it doubles for the next 3 years. And then I think by 2025, if we're my bear case, or my very low end of a base case, figure if we get $1 by 2027, we might get 45 cents by the end of 2025. If we're at $1 by 2027, but if we can get it, honestly, we could be $1 before then, before 2025. So, but I would say conservatively, conservatively 45 cents by end of 2025.
Awesome.
What are your thoughts on that?
So, I mean, I actually have I'm trying to get this. I have a wedding I'm going to, like, driving down to SoCal tomorrow, and there the whole weekend. I had a wedding last weekend, and then a wedding this weekend, and like all these big things are happening. But I'm actually working on the price prediction 21 to 2025 video.
I've been waiting on this.
Yeah, so I mean, it's gonna be my last one of the year. Like, it has a roadmap and all that, but I've been working on it, so I'm trying to get it out tomorrow morning, but might come Monday, but trying to get it out tomorrow. So I won't go into like my price prediction, but there's some similar thoughts to, I guess, kind of how we both think and how I look at it, because I always approach it with looking at it as a true investor and not just throwing a number out there, right? Like, because we all are hopeful, of some large number. And some people are saying, oh, I get to hit $1 in 2022. And I mean, it's not impossible, but
Yeah.
it's extremely
Not likely.
like, yeah, it's just that's a big percentage, a change. Like it's already one of the most successful crypto in 2021.
Yeah.
But for it to hit that kind of number, that's like 2017 oddball random, like there was like 3 that ever
Yeah.
did that. But that time, like nothing has done or even come close to that this year, but we're also not in the peak, that's happened yet. But
Yeah.
like that just seems so incredibly unlikely. But I'll get into it again a little bit more tomorrow. But it's absolutely crazy. And we did get a question. Shout out to Clyde Frog. Thank you for the donation. Thoughts on Master Collector program getting 10-second head start on drops? I believe there are better ways to incentivize Master Collector program without hurting new users and mid-class users. I think they brought this up in like speculatively in the past, like having a few, I don't think they would do 10 seconds. Like people would just have all the devices be jamming on, because if you have 10 seconds, you could get probably between 5 phones, 10 collectibles by the time someone starts. And then you have, however many people who can actually do that. Like, I don't think they would do that if it was anything like that. Maybe a second, maybe half a second, because they sell out in a second.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I think 2 things with that. Yeah, it would probably be only 1 or 2 seconds to be able to do that. But I think that would be a good idea if they can say, hey, out of this drop that has 100,000 100,000 mints or whatever, only 1,000 of them, if it's a blind box, only 1,000 of them, or just 500 of them, like a percent or half a percent will be able to do that, because there's probably going to be multiple people that have that, maybe dozens or hundreds. And if you only get a few of them to do that, then that's fine, because big whales could come in, make 10 accounts each, and they could all qualify for that Master Collector program if they go on each separate account and become a Master Collector. So I think if they do it where they only have a certain amount of spots and it doesn't take up too much of the rest of the mints, I think that's okay. But also, when I say that there are better ways to incentivize market, I would be 100% okay, even if I didn't do it. If I was excluded for whatever reason, they just exclude anyone under like the 34th parallel that were born in South America. You can't do it this time. Okay, fine. Because if they're going up and they say, hey, you're going to go, in order to get this, you have to stake a certain amount of Omi, and then you can get this. Let every single person that wants to stake Omi stake that Omi. That's locked up for a year, takes away from the circulating supply, will cause it to go up. Sure, there's a lot of strife about that. People saying like, oh, well, all these whales are going to come in and do that. Let them do that. Let them lock up their Omi. That rising tide will raise all of your ships, regardless of if you have 1 million Omi, 100,000 Omi, or 100 million Omi. Let them do that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And what's like, when you're saying that, I'm just thinking having the collectibles and having Omi, like I think it's kind of getting blurred now, but like there were some people who were only Omi, and then there were some people who were only collectibles. And now we're starting to see where, kind of like yourself, where there's a healthy mix or equal in, because they kind of hedge each other in a way, right? Like the collectibles have shot up. Like if you were collecting only VV collectibles, then you are in the green. But that also shows that the Omi token is just so undervalued yet, because it hasn't been given that full utility, and all the things that we've been waiting for basically 4 months haven't yet happened, and like they've been pushed out. So that shows like the token's just undervalued, and now we're going to see kind of a balancing act between the two. But really, really good question. And I'm always curious, like everyone invests different, like you and I have different strategies. But I think it's important to always have a goal in mind. And like, I'm very much like a growth mindset kind of person. I'm always trying to hit that ceiling of what my goals are, and then trying to then set new goals that are higher ceilings. What are, your goals? Like, do you just want to be rich, or what do you want to do with your wealth gain? And I guess kind of go into that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Short-term goals are very different from long-term. Short-term is next year in January. I asked my friend Ty to come with me, because I pre-ordered a Cybertruck, and
Nice.
I'm gonna fly to Austin to get my Cybertruck and drive back. And he's like, bro, Chavez, you're gonna go and try and drive a Cybertruck, an all electric vehicle, like 4 days to go and to go and drive back to New York. It's like, you hate driving. Like, I do, but I'm thinking, like, if I just bring a bunch of Adderall with me, and I could probably do it in like 2 days. Like, I could probably do it in like 36 hours.
Does it have the auto drive feature in the Cybertrucks, or will it?
They do, but it is right now the full self driving. I think like 10.1 is in beta. It's not, you can't, like, people do it, but you can't just like go to sleep and then I mean, again, people do it and they're fine, because if you have the safety features engaged and the full self driving enabled, the Teslas only crash once every like 4 million miles, whereas human drivers, like in general, crash every like 400,000 miles.
That's
So it's like,
thank you for knowing that statistic, because I
yeah,
remember when like some people die, like all like, and I, and there's no lightness of people dying in car wrecks, but like some people died because of the auto drive feature or whatever. But then we also saw that like some were drunk and like hopping in the back and trying to like mess with it. But if someone dies, like people will unfortunately crash and get in accidents with a self-driving car, but the statistic is so much safer than actual human error is
yeah.
absolutely insane. And so I remember like Tesla price shot down. I still hold some of my Tesla shares. I sold some of it off because, like I said, I took some money to put on the side. But man, I mean, I remember that dropped the price considerably, and I was like, buy.
Yeah, same exact thing. I remember late 2019, most of 2020 is just, I was still buying. I might have actually even bought earlier this year too. Capital gains tax next year is going to be disgusting. I'm going to have to pay so much.
Awful. Shout
Yeah.
out to JP, another whale in the community. I actually think I found JP from your channel. Like he's always hanging out on the Real Randy Chavez channel, which, by the way, everyone, if you're not subscribed to Randy, if you've never seen one of his streams, if you're not interacting with him on Twitter, go do so, because again, one of the best in the community. Love his content. So JP asks, thanks for the donation, JP. When the Real Randy Chavez book movie?
I do have I have this really weird, and this is before I ever experimented with psychedelics or anything. I just always like to write, and I have a group that I put out where it's called Voiceover Animations, where I do stories from all my times in the military, I have these crazy amazing stories that are so much fun, and they're kind of like a mix between It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Wolf of Wall Street type of stuff.
Where do you post them? Like, how do we read them? Or
I post them on Facebook, but I haven't for a little while, because I wanted to go on and get all of them, because I've been doing this for like 7 years, just posting stuff on Facebook, like just the stories. It's like, okay, for a year I won't post. I'll gather all of them for a year on my Facebook memories. I'll send it to this one group, and then, or this one chat. I'll be like Rain Man or I forget the name of that. Brilliant Mind, Beautiful Mind, where he posts everything all over, and I'm gonna go all the dates, and I'm gonna make it into a book. I'm gonna pay people to. It'll either be a book of short stories, like what's that? Foster Wallace, that guy has got really long books.
Yep.
So I'll do that, and that will probably be my first go at written word entertainment, or again, pay people to animate it, and I'll do some of the voices. So maybe in like 4 or 5 years we'll get that. What was your question before I got sidetracked with Tesla? Completely forgot about it.
I think it was what were your goals with investing?
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I love JP's question. Real quick, I'm just going to answer this and we'll go back into that. But
yeah.
Shaq said, I always hear people from the US talk about how bad capital gains tax is. Oh man, it's
like 53%.
Well, there's short term and then there's long term, right? So if you hold a stock in the US or crypto or whatever for at least 12 months from when you bought it, and then sell it, it's substantially less. I think it goes anywhere between like 10 to 15%, somewhere between there if it's long term. If it's short term, it matches what you're taxed based on your total income. So it could be anywhere from like 20% all the way up to, if you're making over $200,000 plus, to 35% if you're over, I think, like 350 1,000 a year. It's even higher than that. So it sucks. If you're in
Yeah,
a
that
higher
sucks.
tax bracket, it is awful.
Yeah, I think it's like 45%. Elon Musk just says his is 53%. I was like, oh, well, he's in California too, so it's.
He
I guess
was.
that might be
Didn't he
state
move?
taxes.
I think he
Oh
moved
yeah, he did. He brought.
to Texas or
Yeah.
somewhere.
But I think he just did. Did he? I think he just did that though through half the year. So I don't know how he's able to. If he only pays taxes in one place or pays taxes in both.
Yeah, yeah. But to answer Shaq's question, it's bad. It's really
It,
terrible.
it's horrible.
I've spoken with my girlfriend many times. Like maybe instead of buying in like Idaho or somewhere else like a property like that, like I've legit looked at property in Portugal. It's my favorite country, and I think this is actually one of the questions you wanted to ask. Portugal is my favorite country. I fell in love with it. The Algarve coast, which is Lagos south side, is the most beautiful beaches I've ever seen in my entire life. And added little footnote to why it's so amazing is there is no tax on crypto, and I don't think there is any gains on or capital gains tax on stocks either. But that's why I was thinking like, if we get a property in Portugal, I move my LC, or I guess I'd have to create a new LLC out of there and then do
Yeah.
my investing through that. Maybe that's the move,
Yeah.
So thinking about it, but I need to
And I
learn
could do that next year.
Portuguese.
Then I have no. I'll do that. I'll do that in January. I can do that. Yeah. Well, the bad thing was I'd have to sell Omi to do that, which is fine. I'll sell, just get a small shack there and be like, oh, here's my mailing address.
Yeah. So
I would
your
have
goals.
a. I would have so short term goals is I'm going to sell probably 3 to 5 million Omi, and I will get the Cybertruck, and this will be in January. So I'll get a Cybertruck. I
Oh,
will
this year?
January of next year, so in a few months.
Yeah.
So I'll sell 3 to 5 million Omi. I'm going to get a Cybertruck. I'm going to pay my taxes, which is going to be horrible. And then I'm going to get an apartment in Florida, and I'm going to use the rest of that. Well, I might get a property now in Portugal. It saves so much on taxes.
I mean, if you're trying to get like a joint vacation spot, maybe we could talk about it and learn Portuguese.
In Portugal or
yeah,
okay, yeah, that's fine. Thought we were talking about Florida, which I was thinking about doing that too. A buddy of mine's got a place in Key West. There's this company down there that if you buy the property, what they do is they basically run the Airbnb for you. They clean it, they do everything. They talk to a lot of clients. You don't have to do anything, and they just send them money. It's like, yeah, it's great. It's like, oh, sounds awesome. But Portugal, I remember when I was there in the Azores in 2016, my friend Mike was stationed there, and because the U.S. has a presence there, and there was
big island, right? The Azores.
Yeah. And what he did was back in the day, like maybe late 2000s, like early 2010s, what they did was you were allowed to bring your family there. So all the properties there for on-base housing for the guys that were stationed there, they had these 3-bedroom, houses because you could bring your family. Mm-hmm. And then after like 2014 or 2015, they said you're no longer allowed to bring family. If you're stationed there, you're stationed there. Your family has to stay in the U.S. for whatever reason. But they got to keep the family housing. So every like single person was getting 3 family houses that they could go and they could rent, and it's super cheap. And he's like, yeah, I'm like, because when you're overseas, you don't get a basic allowance for housing like you do in the U.S. You get what's called COLA. You get a cost of living allowance, and the house that you go and rent, whether it's like $400 a month or like $3,000 a month, U.S. pays for it. Like, and so they're renting for it. And he's like, yeah, we have all these crazy things. So he picks me up at the airport, and apparently in the Azores or in Portugal, as long as the driver is sober, everybody else in the car can drink. Or you can't do that in the U.S. So I was like, oh yeah, it was crazy. It was a lot of fun.
Did not know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So another reason to come. Sorry, I keep getting sidetracked. Short-term goals to do that. And then I will live off of that 3 to 5 million Omi that I sell, probably closer to 5 million. I will live off of that for the rest of the year. And I will, let's say at that point, I have, let's say like 2, maybe 3 million Omi left. Whatever the price of Omi is, I'll use minimum 3 million, but probably a lot more in the VeVeverse buying land. I have no problem going down below that 100 million mark, go to 90 million. Just to get large plots of land. And I know they'll open stuff up as each I'll say where there's a new section of land opening up, they'll do that as more people come in, which is probably fine. But from my experience in Earth 2, you get a good location that can 100x like nobody's business. Great show.
Yep. Shout out Mass Murders. Thank you for the super chat. I mean, I appreciate that, and like that's a pretty cool. It's a great goal. Like I'm very much a goal oriented person, so I always kind of like look at everything, right? Like I'm still trying to define like what is my Omi goal, and like originally I was looking at as like a trader mentality, like I'm gonna take a profit, sell high at whatever it's at this year, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get a re-entry when it's low, whenever we are in a bear market. But now I'm just kind of looking at it like a true investor mentality, and hopefully it helps with my capital gains too, in the sense that if I don't sell any and I just keep adding when it is low, because I'm stacking up that dry powder on the side now, then I can dollar cost average down and just keep adding and just not really think about it. And then I know what it's going to be at in either later in 2022 if we do get a reinitiation or a shorter bear cycle, which is probably possible, or if we go into 2024, 2025, like I'm cool holding what I have until then, and again just adding in little chunks here and there, and then my dollar cost average is lower, the price will be this high once we get to that point. And that's kind of like what my goal is with Omi and my collectibles. I'm just a collector, right? Like I don't want to sell some of my collectibles unless it's just stupid amounts of money where I can then get a lot more collectibles. And yeah, that's kind of looking at I guess kind of my mental audit. And I have like one more, I guess, question for you. And I know that you had some questions too, and I have them written down here, so I'll get to those. But
nice.
There's all walks of life, all forms of investors in the Veve and Ecomi community, and some are investing 1,000, some are investing hundreds of thousands or more, right? So as a Omi Whale, as a investor yourself, what is like some, I guess, tips or advice to some of the newer investors in the family?
I would say what you're comfortable with losing. The good mindset for me to have at least is I'm putting this money in and I'm thinking in my mind, worst, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Like I'm never going to see this money again. I still live like this is why I haven't upgraded my apartment. This is why I haven't upgraded anything, because God forbid everything goes away. Okay, well at least I could still afford rent. At least I could still, because that's what I do. I just went all in, and when I say I have almost no cushion left, this is pretty true. I would say not that everybody, probably nobody should do what I do, but if you do, if you decide like, hey, you know what, I'm living with my parents, and or some bills are taken care of, whatever you have. If you have money coming in, if I was 20 years old again, I have a couple subscribers like this. I told them like, and I was in college and I found this out, I would not care what my parents say. I wouldn't care what uncle, family, whatever. I would go and say, hey, I'm going to drop out of school. I'm going to work as many hours as I can, wherever I can. And I'm going to put every single penny into this Omi token right now, because currently I think it is the most undervalued thing that is the safest. And if I have to live on nothing but Taco Bell every single day to because that is cheap, I know that I won't starve. I know that you could be able to go, and that's what I would do. That's literally what I did for years before Omi. That's what I did with the high risk lending business, that transferred into Pokemon business, which they're two separate entities. It probably will take years off your life. It possibility that it doesn't work, and it is you're living like a low class, like, I mean, again, still in America, so most people still have beds. But those that do not know, I don't have a bed. I don't have an air conditioner. That sucked this summer. And I went.
Where do you sleep?
I have a mattress.
Okay.
So yeah. So I mean, it's not like on the floor. I mean, it is, but it's still just a mattress. And I realized that maybe even be a sickness. But I feel like I would be doing myself and the future animals that I hope to help a disservice if I did not go all in now. And find out where your limits are. If you've only ever worked 35 hours a week, while you're young, find another job, see how long you can do that for. Better to find out now, knowing what you can do, and hopefully you never need to, but you don't want to wake up at 40, things go bad, and suddenly you have to work 60, 80 hours a week, and you realize you can't. That is not a good time. So
Great tips.
that's, yeah.
Yeah, no, and I would say like you're very much like a minimalist, right? Like
Same.
most of my friends and acquaintances would consider me. I prefer the term frugal, but many say cheap. But like when you're raised that way, it just kind of like I all my money, like 95% of my money is not in a bank. It's in investments. And so I constantly feel like I don't have that much money because I don't really look at it unless I'm trading or buying, but I don't think of it as mine, right? Like I think of it as future taps as money, right?
Yeah.
So I don't really spend a lot of money on like fancy cars or anything like that. And like I don't want like a crazy big house. I want multiple houses for investments. Like I have that investment
Yeah.
mentality. So I think that's, it's pretty cool to see that you're very similar, but even more so, right? Like you have that minimalist and then you also just kind of go for it, which is really, really cool. And I know that we're on the hour, but I'm going to go through a couple of your questions and get to them just because I want to make sure that I answer some. So you asked what field I work in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been in kind of a lot of different things over my work experience. Fun fact about me, and I guess I haven't really ever shared it, is I'm a college dropout. I was in college and
Same.
yeah, and I had no intention of doing so, but my mom started a business and then got hit really, really hard by 2008, and she's never recovered.
Ooh.
So it absolutely tanked. I gave her all of my college money that I saved up, and being in debt is like the scariest thing in the world to me. I think one of your other questions is like, what's your biggest fear? Biggest
Yeah.
fear to me is being in
Yeah.
tremendous amounts of debt. Like living paycheck to paycheck is how I grew up. So like that is terrifying to me. And I understand like that's, some people have that as a situation, but that's something I've worked really hard to not be in that situation. So what field I work in? So I actually just had my last day at my former company where I was doing basically research and consulting. I was in an advisory sales and I was working at Gartner. So Gartner is the number one research and firm in the world. They advise. I just talked about Forrester in my recent VeVeverse video. Forrester is their competitor, and Gartner is 10 times the size. They are the leading provider of research. They are having conversations with all of the largest companies in the world, as well as tech vendors. So I was working with startups, with emerging tech companies, like large to small startups, and engaging with them on what their roadmap strategies are. How are they going to grow as companies? What is happening in their spaces? Which I had augmented reality clients who I can't say under, even though I'm not work there anymore, I can't say. I had blockchain clients. I had plenty of clients who are in set spaces. So how I approach my content, when you see like I do like a roadmap and I look at growth, I look at scalability, it's because it's ingrained in me because I was having those conversations with these companies. And when I relay like, this is why I'm so gung ho and so passionate about Ecomi and Veve, is because when I look at how fast they scale, when I look at how fast they grow and how they can just turn on a dime, they are one of the most agile companies I have ever seen in my entire life. And I've worked with some of these larger, well-known companies that are not crypto based that can't do that. So
Yeah.
it's absolutely insane to see, them perform at what they do. But that's the long answer to say that I've been in kind of consulting in sales for most of my life, but I have a month off. I accepted an offer at another company. So I
Nice.
will be jamming out the content, and
Yeah.
that other company, I took the job because it was inevitably more money to invest into my investments and a little bit less strenuous. So I can do content on the side while still, keep doing that job, but obviously not mixing the two.
Yeah.
And it's kind of all ending up to my goal of retiring in the next 5 to 8 years and living off my investments.
2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years.
I wish, man. I live in California. I mean, if I moved to
You don't
Portugal or
have
somewhere
to.
else, I know, but in the interim, it's going to be quite some time before I can ever retire. Which goes into your next question. You said, how big of a difference I guess, do I make from YouTube to my current job, or I guess the new job
Yeah.
I have, and how quickly do I think I could close that gap? I would love to do content full time, man. You know, I haven't accepted any affiliates with any other, you know, I guess things like, just because I'm like nervous too. I would have 100% accept one from Ecomi, but I just
Oh, dude,
haven't really done anything like that because I'm nervous too. Like I only want to do that and present content that I feel confident to show to my community, right? Like if I'm not going to put my money in it, it's not going on my channel. You know, so
yeah.
I get I get daily offers from companies and NFTs and all that, like to, hey, would you present our stuff? And I politely decline because if it doesn't make sense to me, I'm not going to shill it or show my community because I'm not going to invest in it. And I don't want your money if I'm not going to invest in it, right? Like, so
Yeah.
integrity is like the most important thing that you can't buy. And so that I really want to resonate, you know, through my channel. But to close that gap, I don't even know, man. Like I need to do more content because I really don't make much on YouTube at all. You know, but I just need to make more content. It would be a long time before I would ever to be YouTube full time. Probably, you know, 2 years or so, maybe 3 years. But I'm going to keep jamming out the content. Again, I started this as an outlet. It still blows me away that the subscribers that I have are so high and so passionate. So
And that's
very,
with not even like, you ever see that episode of South Park where Randy takes like the biggest poop? Like,
yeah.
and he did that. He basically did that without even trying. And you know,
It
like
was
he just
mono,
ate.
right?
I mean, he did eventually. Yeah,
Yeah.
he did it. But the first time he got like a really big poop, it was like, oh yeah, I just had a bunch of this. This is a normal Tuesday, you know.
Yep.
And I feel like if you did this, not without even trying, and you're part of the reason why I also went all in, because somebody that you're so technically literate and you're so well spoken and you're like the you know, like Obama of politicians, where just speak very clearly and you know everyone can understand you 100%. And me and poor man printing is like, oh yeah, this is what we're doing down here. um, we so we you did not without trying, but you did that so quickly. And I feel like if you really went all, if you went like, hey, I'm gonna do, and I'm not saying to stream as much as I do or to make as much content as I do, because it's, you know, there's some days where I'm streaming like 6 hours a day. It's it's a lot. But if you did that, you would easily get a lot. And also, I haven't accepted anything from any other companies as well. A lot of them were from like After Earth, or they're from like the, oh my god, oh Comey, oh Bays.
We got Ecomi in the house, and I saw Dan in the house, Dan Schaubel in the house as well. So hey, shout out to everyone to see Brendan in.
Yeah.
We got Claire in here. Happy to see all the fam jumping in.
Yeah. So you don't have to do big companies. What outside of Patreon, it was my friend Jay. He's like, listen, I'm gonna use my law firm with bromance, dude. I love taps, man. I do.
We could just become one if we just we could fuse. I think you got to go the other way, right?
Yep.
Fusion.
Fusion
hot. The real.
Somebody please make that a meme.
The real taps Chavez.
But yeah, my friend Jay says, hey, can I like rent out space on your fridge? And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll make a sign. So I joked on Twitter, it's like somebody literally just asked me to rent out space on my fridge, and then I got all these messages from a bunch of people like, hey, did you like, what's the price? Like, we haven't talked price yet. So they're like, and they're paying me in NFTs. They're paying me in collectibles like Tropicanas. They're paying me Star Helix. I gave a little bit of money to for his Supergirl, but it wasn't as much money as Supergirl's worth. And just the sign Star Helix on YouTube and not Star Helix. So that was the biggest one. So Vivi Vault and David Don, they both gave me Tropicanas. Somebody else gave me Tropicana for their 2 Tropicanas for their business. So it doesn't have to be like these crazy big companies. It could just be like for people say, oh, follow, like take down that Ansel Adams photo you have over there and then just rent out space on your wall.
Yeah, but Ansel Adams is paying me for that to brand for him. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I actually am going to be putting like a TV up on the wall, so that way, like when I'm laying on there's a couch behind me. It's like right behind my chair. But so when I'm chilling in here watching content, obviously when I'm watching the Real Randy Chavez stream and chilling on my couch, I can have it up on the TV there. I can game up there whenever I find time to game again. So what I might do is actually like maybe I'll put like, something on that TV because it's, I can actually just kind of brand that way. It's funny because, I engage with so many different companies on like their marketing and again their growth strategy and all these things, but I kind of forget to do it for myself. Like there's other ways I could be, I guess, making money and making my channel more successful, but I just get so in the weeds of like I need to make this every video just so, I guess, like it needs to resonate with everyone. Like it needs to show the research I put into it. It needs to really be impactful for people, and that's what I've been the most, I guess, focused on, and worried about the money second because I know the money will eventually come. And I guess everyone always asks like, "What's your goal with like a channel?" Like originally my goal was just to have an outlet, but that ceiling again keeps raising, right? Like my goal is to eventually keep doing more content. I'll always do Omi content, but I've also done other crypto content, and I need to get kind of a good mix going. My goal is not to necessarily be like the size of like an altcoin daily or a Hashoshi or a Journey crypto, but to have like that level of a place in this space, to where I would be able to go to like Bitcoin events or just other events and people would actually like, I guess, look at me and have a conversation with me that would give value and insight, right? Like where I could have like a Charles Hoskinson interview on my channel. Like just, I think having those conversations and having that kind of, I guess, just ability to really engage with those kind of people is really impactful. And that's what I'm looking for, with my channel. And I know the money will come eventually. It's just kind of in the building phase, right?
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
You also asked what sacrifices you made because of YouTube and Ecomi and how that's affected your other relationships. Man, time is very scarce, between like the research and engaging with the community. And then there's like all these little side communities and then also trying to be an investor trader and then I had a 9 to 5, but going to have another one, it doesn't leave a whole lot, like I have a girlfriend, I have a dog. There's, yeah, I have a almost 2-year-old Doberman. She is crazy. But it doesn't leave a whole lot of time to unwind, and so it's definitely not, it's definitely affected many things. But how I look at it is, you're only somewhat young, I'd say, for so long, and it takes time to really build something, and you have to build the foundation, and you just have to grind and work through it to really get to a point where, maybe I'll go back to only 2 videos a week, but I want those, 2 videos to be really, I guess, with like an interview with someone who's incredible, and then like maybe like a really cool, great content video, but then I have to be like at that size, at that level. So for now, everything's kind of taken a back seat besides, my girlfriend and my closest friends. But yeah, it's definitely created some sacrifices that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, I mean, I see that. Well, when you reached 1,000, you might have done that in the first month. Figure out how long it took you to 10x from there, and now you have 10,000. How long do you think it might take you to 10x again? Because also Ecomi is going to be growing. They're going to be, Rogers and Cowan doing a really great job getting their VV out in front of a bunch of people. I feel like a lot more people are coming. Could probably reach 100,000 at some point next year, and like probably in the next 6 months, if what I think is going to happen happens.
Yeah, I mean that would be incredible. I mean, 100,000 I think is kind of where, what you're making through monetization, all that, like it just helps with the mortgage and everything else. And I think it's also, again, just the awareness, right? So I need to find that balance of doing a good mix of Ecomi and VV content as well as the content that NFTs and other crypto that I hold. But again, it's just kind of having the time. And I do agree with you. Like with everything that's coming, this space is going to blow up. We're already seeing, really bigger players, bigger influences and content creators like Dan Schauble, who is, I'm not sure if he's still here, but he hopped in to say hi. And, he has these incredible interviews with there's a bunch of a million shirts, but he did these incredible interviews with like big names, like Tim Tebow and and I can't
It's got
remember
like
the
Terry
other
Crews. Yeah,
Terry Crews. And he's talking about Ecomi and Veve when he's hanging out with us, right? And he brought it up during his recent interview with Kevin Smith. So that's the first sign that we're going to be small potatoes in terms of content creators soon. Like Altcoin Daily's talking about it, more and more are talking about it. And once we see, the mutable migration go into act and we see the price really shoot up again and it feels like March again. And shoot, when you can actually do a video showing your VeVeverse, oh man, like like that's when our watches shoot up. That's when our subscribers shoot up. So I agree, like with everything that's coming, like our channels will naturally have growth. But again, like there's going to be some really, really big whales of content creators who are hopping in and kind of, it'll be more competitive than it already is for creating content.
My favorite is when I see people outside, like in their backyards, and they're just, oh, hey, look, let me turn. Oh, here's my Veve vault. And then they step into it. I was like, what?
I saw that guy's post on that, and I was like, whoa. Like he's like in a fenced-in backyard, and like he steps into it.
Yeah. So
really
some
cool.
of the things that I'm really excited for is to see really how these NFTs interact with each other. Obviously, you have the Ghost Trap with Slimer. I think that eventually, when Pokemon is announced, and if we have that, wouldn't it be cool if the Ghost Trap could also catch Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar, the ghost type Pokemon?
That would be so cool.
Yeah, like because again, some of these guys have they have superpowers, whether they're cartoons or even Pokemon. I remember in that first Pokemon Adventures, I think it was like the third or fourth book. They have Brock has Geodude throw his Golem up in the air. I'm sorry, has Graveler throws Golem up in the air, has his Geodudes hardened so they come down like missiles. Wouldn't that be cool if they put something like that in the VeVeverse where you can like use their powers off one another, like use Iron Man's proton cannon bouncing off Captain America's shield, like that type of thing would be epic.
That would be absolutely incredible. And man, so we have to discuss this. We have to discuss. We have to discuss Pokemon. We have to discuss anime, and then we're running over an hour. So after this, we're gonna conclude it. Okay. I feel like we could probably talk for the next 4 hours.
I've done 2 4-hour podcasts before.
That's crazy. So let's talk before we get to Pokemon. One Pokemon. Let's talk about anime. So as you can see, there is a wrapped Buster Sword behind me. That was from my cosplay. I made that sword out of Ava foam and a couple other things. That's from my cloud cosplay. I've been cosplaying for over a decade. And I am a huge weeb, huge anime nerd, and I know that you are as well. So what anime are you expecting to come to Veve when that vertical comes? And I guess what would you personally want to see? Because like I know what we're most likely gonna see, but I also have like my personal anime I'd love to see on it. So I guess what are those in your mind?
Well, they tend to do nostalgic thing. So nostalgic ones maybe something like Bleach or One Piece or maybe like a Tokyo Ghoul, something like that, which is fine. That's good. Cowboy Bebop, the type of nostalgic ones that have been around for a while. Maybe some Dragon Ball Z. One of my first tattoos was the Royal Saiyan crest of
nice.
so I love that. But I am so hoping for like a Attack on Titan. Like you can get the Titans, you might be able to get like the humans there or the weapons. My Hero Academia is one of my favorite animes of all time, and it's so recent. It's so good.
It's so good.
Those I'm really hoping for, and I guess Pokemon does go into the manga anime thing. They probably won't have it, but one of the other tattoos I have is horse from because I was born in the year of the horse, and it's from a anime called Fruits Basket. It was a manga, and then they turned into an anime.
You're a Fruit Baskets fan?
Are you a Fruit Basket fan?
I haven't dove into Fruit Baskets. I mean, I've probably watched a few episodes like in the actual sitting events at cons that I've been to.
Yeah,
I know a lot of Fruit Basket fans, and I've been people try to get me converted for quite some time. So I just need to take the time to actually watch it. I know it's one of the most loved animes. I mean, I've watched a little bit of everything, man, but I agree that the nostalgic, the popular ones will be on there, right? Like Dragon Ball Z, like we'll probably we know we'll probably see Pokemon eventually. I think going something even into the mix of anime and somewhat video games. Like I really am hopeful that we see, Final Fantasy VII, like Square Enix, Sony, actually on. I mean, it'll blow up. Like everyone are, even if you don't never played the game, everyone recognizes Cloud. Everyone recognizes the Final Fantasy name because it was one of the biggest and most successful
Yeah.
franchises in gaming. And I'm a huge RPG and JRPG nerd, so I have like all my old RPG games from Super Nintendo days, all in a box still, like original Final Fantasy 2 and 3 and Breath of Fire and all these old school games. So I would love to see something like that. But when anime comes, oh man, like I've said it before, like it doesn't make sense until we get localization, because anime is and manga is more watched and read than normal TV and books in Japan and China and many other countries in the APAC region. So if they put the app in there in Mandarin and Tagalog and Japanese, it's just going to make more sense then. So I think, man, when localization, I hope localization comes this year. But I think the reason why it hasn't, like, I know it's not easy, but I don't think it's super hard. I think it's a choice why they haven't put it in yet, because think about how massive that audience is going to come into this app, and like they're going to have to boost up their servers on a whole nother level in order to handle that kind of ingrowth.
Yeah, I think I remember Dan saying that the work for it is already done. They could push a button and the languages would be there. Don't need to file. Therefore, you need to extend the stream for another 2 hours. Let's get that bread.
Oh man, Daniel Lee coming in hot.
Yeah. So yeah, they said that they could push a button and it would be available in Chinese, Russian, whatever, but they just don't have the support people for them to call and say, like, oh, hey, this is going on. This is a glitch with my app. There's a bug in here. They just don't have those workers yet. And like you said, the getting more servers, updating them, and all that would be a big one. And what was the other thing I was about to say? I lost it. That's all good. I second Dan Lee. Yeah, the longer you go, Taps, the more money we can get if we go. The more money you go get super chatted.
Eventually, you'll just get a super chat that says, "Guys, call it." Well, shout out to Crypto Nesian and Daniel Lee. Appreciate your super chats, and we'll be going a little bit longer. And go follow Daniel Lee and subscribe to his channel. I love his videos. I mean, Daniel Lee is a homie as well. We've chatted in our little like side groups and all that, and like obviously I've streamed with him on the Millennial Omi, and I can't wait to get that going again. And actually, we really want to have Daniel on my channel as well. We've discussed it because he thinks, like I think that he and I think very similarly, and I know that he's a real estate investor as well, and I really would love to have him on as well. He makes great content.
I think you guys would differ a little bit recently because you want to get into the real estate game, and he's getting out of it. Like for Omi.
Yeah, so, I know. That's why I'm curious. Like I like having those, not contradictory, I guess, opposed viewpoints, right? Like you're all in, and I'm more, kind of like diversify. So like that's why I kind of like it, right? It creates more of a, all right, well, like my way is not right, but I'm curious to understand why you think this way, right? So
yeah, I get so hot at my friend Dan, my old business partner Dan, who he took me under his wing when I went, that high risk lending business, working that private bank. Just help me out with starting up the LLC and saying like, hey, these are some things you should look out for with high risk lending. Taught me how to read a couple of things. Bank statements were the right questions to ask. But he just goes. He never puts more than like 5% of his net worth into any one thing, and even that's a lot for him. For the most part, he won't put more than 10 grand. And then he's got millionaires. He's a whale kind of. I mean, he's not worth like $100 million, but he is a millionaire. And I was like, dude, just like I told him like go all in on Tesla, and he did go a little bit on. I was like, have I been wrong about Pokemon or Tesla or any of these deals that nobody else is going for? I felt like Bardock in Father of Goku, where him and his team touches the jobs that nobody else touched. I was like, I am doing these deals by myself that nobody else is doing, and I'm making like. So he's like, you're right. I just feel scared. And I was like, I understand that, but you can I don't know. I just see it as like retirement in everybody's future if they did that, or at least early. So I was like, that's what I said. I have an issue with leaving money on the table.
I had to post this because I think it's funny.
Retarded. I actually don't have crayons, or I have I don't even. I think. Oh, here it is. Underneath all my Taco Bell wrappers, I I can't just write one thing. I have to like scribble it because it's too thin to be able to read if I just write it. So I have to spend like a bunch of time scribbling a bunch of ink on there, and yeah. So
that's the Real Randy Chavez calligraphy lessons will be coming up shortly. Oh man, I mean, we talked about anime, so let's address the 800-pound Snorlax in the room.
898 pounds.
Oh, all right.
Well, I thought you were going for he's actually only 1,009 pounds, but it's 898 Pokemon. So I didn't know which one.
Thoroughly impressed, you know that, but I mean, you know, we've it's kind of cool to look back and see, like, I was just like, I wonder, like, I was talking about speculation, how like some of it's getting proven now. Like, we speculated on Marvel, we speculated on a couple other licenses, we speculated on 007. A lot of that speculation is coming true. And a lot of the collectibles that we talked about, we're starting to see, right? So, I mean, if any NFT project or world is going to make sense for Pokemon, it's Veve, right? Like, it just makes sense. But again, they have to be ready for that kind of influx, especially with that and eventually Disney, Star Wars. I mean, it all just kind of makes sense. But I mean, I don't even know what to expect from it, right? Like what are your thoughts on when Pokemon and what that's going to have impact wise on Veve?
I know they like to do different dates when they can. Like, they like to coincide the dates with each announcement. Like, they are putting the Carnage. They dropped the Carnage today when the Carnage movie comes out tonight, and they're doing 007 when 007 comes out. So like, okay, that well, at least they announced it. The movie doesn't actually come out till next week, but maybe that's the secret rare thing that we have, because not all of them are going to be available tomorrow. Call me back. It's like that SpongeBob meme. I'm a head out. But so this thing that I had a dream about it the other night too, that when Ecomi announces something, I made a video why they haven't announced Nintendo, is because they might be waiting for the Mario movie next year with Chris Pratt and Jack Black and all that. So that's why I think that they I
think you froze. Am I frozen? Can everyone see me?
Okay, there we go. All right. So we're good now. And I think that around the end of this month, maybe on Halloween, or at some point in November, the same way that Santa Claus is at the end of the Macy's Day Parade at Thanksgiving, I think that the next major announcement that they would have would be Disney for December, and they would call it Disney-cember. I talked to Reese the other day, or I just commented on his tweet. It was yesterday or the day before. He said, "Oh, we do have a big, we have an announcement coming," and the announcement, I think, was either Carnage or James Bond. October is going to be nuts. I was like, "Oh, is the announcement going to be today? Because today happens to be the 23-year anniversary of a certain game that came out on the Game Boy, where you collect monsters. I don't know about it." And it was the 23rd anniversary of Pokemon. my next tweet was like, "Please don't block me." he was fine. He didn't answer me, but he didn't block me. And so I think February, if they're going to announce it, because February 27th is Pokemon Day. So I think they might do it then. I would have liked to see them announce it this year, because it's the 25th anniversary of Pokemon. But if they do it on Pokemon Day, and again, just because they announce it doesn't mean that it'll happen the next month. They announced Jurassic Park months ago, and I'm still waiting for my tropical T-Rex.
Yeah, but I've noticed there's quite a few that they've announced, right? Like they announced Jurassic Park and Capcom, and I know I'm so excited for it. And like LOL dolls and like the Little Prince, but there's no drop date yet, right? So I've seen like a mix of, they're now letting us in on, hey, this is here. It's really cool. We'll let you know when. So yeah. I think they just have such, I think, was it like a Trevor said, who they have like 200 like things that they're building right now simultaneously, and like there's so much, like such a fat queue of licensors, probably just like chomping at the bit, like, put our stuff out, or even some like, oh wait, let's do it on this date. And I think they're going to start aligning more of those dates even more so. So yeah, I'm curious about the February. It's February 27th.
Yeah, it's Pokemon Day.
That would make sense because that would also gear a lot of eyes up for the VeVeverse if it's going to come in March or April.
Yeah.
Or they might even wait, right? Like they might even wait to get like all hands on deck for VeVeverse and then come in 2022 because there's going to be just at that point, man.
They could do it February 6th also. February 6th, if you play the red, blue, and yellow games on Cinnabar Island in that locked house, it's known as Mewtwo's birthday because that's when Mew gave birth, which is definitely a mistranslation, but it's a Mew gave birth. We call the new Pokemon Mewtwo. So on Cinnabar Island in that locked house, you have to go get the key for. That one's pretty exciting. So they could do it on those days. There's a lot of days synonymous with Pokemon. It could be the day that the games were released. So there's a lot of dates that they could do. But yeah, I would think that they would want to do China first. China, Russia, get most of the world on.
Yep.
But that's when I think we see 100,000 Pikachus or like 100, because so many people are going to want it, and that's if you just want one. And I've told my subscribers this before. I'm going to have a family of Pikachus. I'm going to have 20 of them.
Farm.
Yeah, I don't care if they're $100 Pikachu, which they probably won't. It'll probably be low, but I'm going to get as many as I can. I don't care if there's 100,000 of them.
I feel like the Pokemon are just going to shoot up because think about it. Like if the whales are already coveting, like things that even have high mints, like they can create, if like yourself, like if you buy 100 Pikachu and let's say there's, 10,000 of them or however many, like you can just keep buying them. And then now you have all the Pikachus, and what they could probably do is maybe kind of like what they talked about with the Ron English serial killer set, where you have to have all of them, and then eventually like you'll have a like that final scene drop or something, maybe like some kind of airdrop. Like what happens if you have to have all 150 at the end in order to get Mew? Or something like that, right? And like now, if all these whales have been collecting up all the Pikachus or all the, let's go something like rare, like a Moltres, like one of the rare bird, or the legendary birds. Like let's say they collected all the Moltreses, and then like now you can't get a Moltres, right? Unless you pay that insane price, and then you can't get a Mew, right? So like maybe it's like so many Mews, which it could be like a secret rare or whatever. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see when that happens.
I think if they follow the movies, where in the movies, Pokemon the movie 2000, the only way Lugia, the Beast of the Sea, appears is if you catch Moltres, Articuno, and Zapdos, and once you capture all three. So yeah, I think they'll definitely do that. Your thoughts on? I played with that idea when the Frank Kozik article dropped. Did you read that this morning?
Yeah, and did you see the secret rare?
Yeah, and are not available for purchase. How are we going to purchase it? Thoughts?
I'm wondering if that secret rare will be given out to the people who had that gem issue, because they said that that a secret rare is going to be given out to those folks. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the one. I hope it's not Edo, because I really want Edo. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the case, or maybe it's eventually once you have all the Labbits, then you get the secret rare. They might continue to do things like that with artists. Like I'm wondering if that's just going to be a thing of Artist Alley, where if they do a series of drops like they're doing with Jermaine Rogers and Frank Kozik and Mondo, I wonder if you just collect every single one, then they're just going to keep doing that, right? Because it empowers the artist and it makes it valuable for you to hold their art.
Yeah. Here's why I think that wouldn't happen is because there's like over 3,000 of the secret rares, but there's only 888 of the ultra rares. So it wouldn't make sense to do that. They might do that for if you unlock, you get that, then you get one for free, and then the other ones you might be able to. Yeah, I don't know. The other ones you might be able to buy.
All right. Well, I'm actually speaking of, I know that we have the Kozik AMA coming up. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and end the stream. But dude, it's been great just hanging out with you, just chatting, having like conversation. Where can people find you? I've said it earlier, but I want to have you, go ahead and let them know.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I was on YouTube, I answer every single comment, whether it's on stream or if you comment on one of my videos. So just the Real Randy Chavez on YouTube. It's at Real Randy Chavez on Twitter. If you want to, follow me there. And those are usually the best places to try to find and get me. And comment on my post, I'll answer. Yeah. So this was fun. Are you going to come to the 5 cent party at Dan's at the Oklahoma party? Or are you going to wait to the 10 cent party in Long Island?
I mean, I don't know. Like 5 cent. I mean, I feel like that's probably going to happen this year. So
Yeah.
we're going to go to Oklahoma, and I've never been to Oklahoma. It's a state I'd like to
Yeah,
cross off the list, probably. I know that me and Dan have also talked about flying out to England to go hang out with Champ and Kay sometime next year. So, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely up for it, and that'd be pretty cool. I've never been to Oklahoma. I imagine it's going to be fun to just check out a new spot. Like, I don't know what to expect from Oklahoma.
Yeah. I'm just excited because I've had
Are you in Jersey?
Long Island.
Long Island. Okay, I wasn't sure. I knew you were East Coast, but I wasn't sure where.
Yeah. The West Coast is so chill. I love it out there. Like I do. Washington, maybe I would move, but yeah. So we'll have a 10 cent Long Island party. I don't think at the 10 cent Long Island party I'd have it at this place called Ohika Castle. That's where Taylor Swift made her video. He's so tall and handsome as hell. You know that one.
Yep.
Because 10 cents, I don't know if that's enough money for me to be able to go and do that. I might do that eventually again. I think we're gonna have a stream is bananas. They made a drinking game of all the stuff that I say. Every time I say bananas or this is not financial advice, or when I slap my knee or I say ow my knee, they all take a drink. So everyone's
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Well, he got you to say bananas, so I hope he's
he
taking a shot.
Did. In Florida, I will do I'll pay for everybody's Omi tattoos. Maybe it's like a 50 cent thing. And in Orlando, because we're gonna go to Harry Potter World. And then at $1, I'm gonna have Lindsey Sterling perform for all of us. Private show, Lindsey Sterling at $1. I mean, in the next probably 5 years, give or take. But yeah, hopefully she's still performing. Sure, I can get her retirement if she's not. But yeah, I can't wait to hang. Can't wait to do fun stuff with you. Just at a Comic-Con, at some con, we'll go. And my shoulder and my right wrist have been hurting, so I have not been able to lift. I've just been doing some boxing stuff, and that's about it. So that's why I have baby arms. But you look great. You look good.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem.
That's because I splash. Do you even splash?
You do. Yeah, dude, I love you, bro. I can't wait to do this again soon. And
Same, man. I appreciate the time. It's been great conversation. And again, like you said, everyone go follow Real Randy Chavez on Twitter, watch his channel, stay in the know with his content. Can I get you on my stream at the end of the month before you go back to work? Yeah, let's do it. Sweet. Yeah, I think my start date is October 25th, so it's during the week. Then
okay, yeah, just let me know.
And do it. Yeah,
just let me know what date works best for you, and we'll go from there.
Awesome, sounds good. Thanks, man.
All right, doctor. Bye, guys. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Meow, 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 meow.